Namaskar students, welcome back to my new lecture. So in my previous lectures I have covered some basics of semiconductor diode. Then I have started the few applications of semiconductor diode. So in those connections we have learned diode as a rectifier, means we have constructed power supply which supply a constant DC output. Then we have learned diode as a clipper, diode as a clamper. So these, and then we have learned diode as a voltage regulator. So in this is now I am starting second unit of your syllabus, that is BSc Honors Electronics, third semester. So in this unit you are given to review on basics of transistors. So that is why I have chosen topic basics of transistor. So these lectures in this unit, whatever I am going to deliver, they are prepared from these reference book, Electronics Devices and Circuit Theory by R.L. Boylsted and Louis Naselski, and some of the numerical problems, some of the things which I feel I should include, so that I have taken from Groff's Basic Electronics, Michael L. Such. So let us start the basics of transistor. So you might have studied in your second semester or first semester transistor. So transistor is a very common name, simply called as a transistor, but the actual name of transistor is basically bipolar junction transistor. So this is made from the three word bipolar junction transistor, and bipolar itself is made from two word. Bi means two, polar means polarity, and junction means junction and transistor. So if you try to understand the actual meaning of transistor, so transistor is a bipolar device. Bipolar device means a device in which there are two type of charge carrier. Bi means two, polar means polarity. Where two type of charge carriers are there, means whatever current is flowing in transistor, that is because of two type of charge carrier. One is basically called as a, I will discuss in detail, called as a majority charge carrier, another is called as a minority charge carrier. So this is the meaning of bipolar. In junction means basically we have a junction in transistor, so like we have a PN junction, similarly here also we have a PN junction, but it is quite different from the PN junction. In PN junction you have only one PN junction, a junction between P type and N type semiconductor, but in transistor you have a two PN junction, means two PN junction connected back to back or head to head. Okay, so that is why this is name comes junction. And then transistor, so transistor basically, this is again, transistor is also again made from the two words, that is basically transistor is equal to transfer of resistor. So basically this is a device which basically changes the or which basically transfer the resistance when you move from input to output. So that is why this name comes bipolar junction transistor, or this is simply BJT in short form, and or this is simply called as a transistor. So this is popularly known as a transistor. Whenever you call as a transistor, it means that is a bipolar junction transistor. So if you define transistor, so the transistor is a three layered semiconductor device. PN junction diode was a two layer device, one P type and N type, but transistor is a three layer semiconductor device consisting of either 2N or one P type layer of material, or 2P and 1N layer of material. So if it is constructed with 2N and 1P, so that is known as the NPN. So here I have shown a diagram. So first layer, second layer and third layer. Okay, so first layer, second layer, third layer. So this is known as the NPN transistor. and if it is made from 2p and 1n, so that is PNP, first layer, second layer, third layer. So then it is called as a PNP transistor. So this is NPN transistor and this is PNP transistor. So there are two types of transistor. One can say one is known as the PNP transistor, another is known as the NPN transistor. In any transistor, whether it is PNP or it is NPN, in both cases, if you see the left first layer, that is the left hand side layer, if you see, I have shown a cross sectional view actually. So this one is always called as emitter. So here if you see, emitter is made from N, but in case of PNP it is made from the P. So this left one in cross sectional view, this left one is always called as a emitter, and the middle layer, which is basically sandwiched between two outer layer, that is basically called as a base. So this middle one is known as the base, and the right one, that is known as the collector. So in case of NPN, so this is emitter, base, collector. In case of PNP, this is emitter, base, collector. Okay, but remember, they look quite similar in diagram. This NPN, anybody, if any student, yeah, anybody by mistake, if they can name like this is emitter as a collector and collector as emitter, so that is wrong. Why that is wrong? Because the property of emitter is quite different from the property of collector. It is not, this name is basically given intentionally. Why it is called as emitter, why it is called as a collector, why it is called as a base? There is some logic behind it. So that logic I will tell. So that is why emitter will never be called as a collector, or collector will never be called as a emitter. Okay. So this criteria is valid for PNP and NPN transistor both. So why a emitter will be never a collector and a collector will be never an emitter, and a base will be never a collector? Because there are few properties of emitter, base and collector. So because based on these properties, this emitter will be always emitter and collector will be always a collector. So that is why one can say this transistor is not a symmetric device. This is not a symmetric, this is a asymmetric device, because here it looks quite symmetry, but emitter is never behaving like a collector and collector is never behaving like a emitter. So that is why it is a asymmetric device. Okay. So transistor is a bipolar device, transistor is a asymmetric device. Okay. The few properties of this emitter and collector I have mentioned here, base. So here properties I have mentioned, emitter, base, collector, and the properties is doping and thickness. So the first property of emitter is that emitter must be made from the heavily doped semiconductor. Okay. Emitter must be made from the heavily doped semiconductor, and collector must be made from the lightly doped semiconductor or moderately doped semiconductor. Collector should be lightly doped or moderately doped, and this base should be always made from the lightly doped semiconductor. Base, remember, the basic difference between emitter and base is emitter is made from heavily doped and base should be made from the lightly doped, and collector should be made from the lightly doped or moderately doped semiconductor. Okay. So this is doping why. So that is why a collector will never be called as an emitter and emitter will be never called as a collector. Though in diagram they looks quite similar. And another difference in emitter, collector and base is that thickness. The thickness of the emitter, this should be very, very thick. This should be very, very thick in comparison to the base and collector. So if you see the thickness of base should be very, very thin, and collector should be thick. Okay. But the collector should be much thicker than the both emitter and base. So here I have given some mathematically value. So for, let us say I have considered two diagrams. So here, if the thickness of the whole transistor, that is including emitter, base and collector, so that is 0.15 inch, then the thickness of base should be such a way that this should be 0.001 inch. The ratio of whole transistor to the base thickness, that should be always equal to the 150 by 1. 150 by 1. This ratio should be followed. The ratio of the total width of the transistor, that of the center layer, that should be always equal to 150 by 1. This is the prescribed international format how to design a transistor. And as I mentioned, the doping level in emitter and base. So the doping of the sandwich layer, means base layer, is also considerably less than that of outer layers, and this should be typically 1 by 10. Okay, this should be typically 1 by 10 or less. It means emitter should be heavily doped and base should be 10 times less than the emitter and collector. So this is the few properties of emitter, base and collector. So this is how one can identify that which is emitter and which is base and which is collector. Okay, so this is the I have explained the few basics of bipolar junction transistor. So let us try to understand how current will flow across the transistor and how one can connect power supply or some battery in order to maintain some bias across the junctions in a transistor. So if you see here, so this is NPN and this is PNP. So in case of N transistor, you have a two junction. What is first one is NP, this is basically base and emitter. So here I have one junction, that is base emitter junction, to emitter and base junction. You have another junction, that is PN, so that is base collector junction. Here also you have emitter base junction and base collector junctions. So in case of semiconductor diode, you had only one junction, okay, that is PN junction, NP junction. But in case of transistor, you have a two junction. One is base emitter junction, simply this is called as a emitter base junction, base emitter junction, and this is called as a base collector junction. So this is NP junction and PN junction. Okay. So it means in order to, and we have learned in case of PN junction diode, if you don't apply any bias across a junction, so you don't get any current because of the thermal equilibrium, and there is a depletion layer formation happens at the junction PN junction, so no current is to flow. In order to make flow current across the junction, you have to apply some voltage. So how one can apply this voltage? What is the criteria of applying voltage in a transistor? That is quite similar to the PN junction diode, but in case of PN junction diode, we had only one junction. Here we have a two junction. So how we can connect these two junctions with a power supply, with a external battery? So remember, so there is a basic rule that always this emitter and base, so there is a junction between emitter and base. So this emitter base junction should be always in forward bias. Okay. So this battery is known as the VEE, that is emitter voltage, emitter base voltage, and this voltage, this is emitter voltage power supply, and emitter base junction, this should be forward bias. You see this is plus I have plus of battery, we have connected with the P type, and this is PNP. I think I have taken example of PNP transistor. So this PNP, so this is in forward bias, and when a diode is in forward bias, so we have learned already that a current used to flow in case of PN junction, that is known as the forward current, and whatever forward current is flowing, that is basically because of the majority charge carriers. So that is why I have mentioned the direction of current. In this case, so direction of current will flow from this direction to this direction, and this current will flow because of the majority charge carriers. So what are the majority charge carriers? Here this is PNP transistor, so obviously whole will be majority charge carriers. So whatever current will flow, that is because of the majority charge carrier. Now, what about the second junction? So if you see the second junction, so this is again a thumb rule. Second junction should be always, that is basically base collector junction. Base collector junction should be always reversed bias. So this battery voltage is known as the VCC. Okay, and in case of reverse bias, we know that the depletion layer, width of depletion layer, that is very thick in case of PN junction diode, and in case of forward bias, the width of depletion layer is very thin. So that is why here in first case, the depletion layer, this black region, that is very very thin, but in case of reverse bias, the thickness of the depletion layer that is increased, that is very thick. So when PN junction diode is in reverse bias, this is again a PN junction diode. So when PN junction diode is in reverse bias, we know that very less current used to flow, and whatever current used to flow, that is basically known as the that is known as the reverse saturation current, or that is reverse saturation current is flowing because of the minority charge carrier. And if you see the direction of this reverse current, reverse saturation current, or PN junction where it is in reverse bias, so this is P and this is N. So P is connected with N, and P is connected, negative is connected with P. So this is in reverse bias. So current, this hole will migrate, move from N to P, and electron will move from P to N. So here electron is a minority and here hole is minority. So if a current will flow when hole will diffuse from N side to P side, or electron will diffuse from N side P side to N side, then current will flow. Obviously, so it means electron and hole at P side, hole at N side, and electron at P side, they are basically minority charge carrier. Because diffusion of these two charge carriers basically is because that is known as the minority charge carrier current. So whatever current is flowing when PN junction diode is in reverse bias, that is basically because of the minority charge carrier. So this is the, I have considered the case separately. First case when emitter base junction is in forward bias, and second case when base collector junction is in reverse bias. So here I have not applied voltage, in this case here I have not applied voltage. So but across the both junction, in first case current is flowing, that is basically because of the majority charge carrier, and direction of current is from left to right, and in second case current is flowing because of the minority charge carrier, and the direction of current is similar to previous case, and that is from left to right. Now consider when we are applying both power supply, both battery in a transistor, then how the current is flowing. So let us, as I discussed, let us consider a PNP transistor. So in case of PNP transistor, base emitter junction, so this is base and this is emitter, so this is junction. The base emitter junction should be forward bias, and base collector junction should be reverse bias, as I discussed in my previous slide. So if you see, so this is forward bias, so positive terminal of battery is connected with P, negative terminal of battery is connected with N. So this is forward bias, and here positive terminal of battery is connected with N, and negative terminal of battery is connected with P. So that is reverse bias. So now I am combining both conditions, both cases, this condition and this condition, both cases I am combining in this diagram. So how the current will flow? Okay. So obviously a current will flow across the whole device, and this current basically, one is the majority current, one current is flowing because of the majority charge carrier, and another current is flowing because of the minority charge carrier, as I have explained in previous slide. It means whatever current is flowing, if you see the direction of current, so current should flow from left to right, from in case of PNP transistor, it should move from emitter to collector region. Current should move from emitter to collector region. It means the direction of current should be from emitter to collector. So this is called as the current which is flowing through the collector, that is known as the collector current. The current which is flowing through the base, that is known as the base current, and the current which is flowing through the emitter, that is known as the emitter current. Okay, and across the both junction, I have explained in case of forward bias PN junction very thin depletion layer, and in case of reverse bias thick depletion layer. So that is why this black shaded region, that is across the emitter base junction, which is forward bias very thin, and this is thicker shaded black region, that is base collector region, that is reverse bias, that is thick. So this is depletion region. Okay. So a current will flow from emitter to base and base to collector. So obviously, if you see this emitter current is flowing, started from the it will means charge carriers from emitter, so that is whole, they will diffuse from emitter to base. Okay, and some of the majority charge carrier are hole, which is diffused from emitter to base region, because base is a n type, so their electrons are the majority charge carrier. So these electrons and holes which are diffused from emitter to base, they will recombine, and if they will recombine, then a current will flow from, in order to make equilibrium condition, charge neutrality condition must be followed. So if a electron is recombined with the hole, excess hole in the base region, so this terminal of battery, negative terminal of battery will supply a electron to the base, then a current will flow, that is known as the base current. And similarly, when holes are diffused from emitter to base region, then there will be deficiency of holes. So in order to maintain the charge neutrality condition, this positive terminal of battery will supply a hole into the, it will inject positive charge into the emitter region, so a current will flow, that is known as the emitter current. So this is the direction of emitter current. So current will flow in the direction of hole, and electron current will flow in the opposite direction of the electron. So electron is moving in this direction, that is why base current is flowing in this direction, and holes are a positive charge are moving in this direction, so that is why current is flowing in this direction. Now, because the thickness of base region is very thin, so whatever positive holes, a positive charge carrier, majority charge carriers are diffused, which has come from emitter to base region, without spending much time, they will try to diffuse into the collector region. So as soon as this excess charge carrier diffused into the collector region, so collector region now have a excess of positive charge. So in order to make charge neutrality condition, so this negative terminal of battery will supply same amount of negative charges into the collector region, so charge neutrality condition should be maintained. So if negative electron will be injected from here, so a current will flow opposite to the direction, opposite to the flow of electron, so a current will flow. But remember, so whatever collector current is flowing, because this junction is reverse bias, okay, this junction is reverse bias, so a minority carrier current is also flowing. So this collector current is basically superimposition of two current, that is basically majority carrier and minority carriers. Minority current and current due to majority charge carrier and current due to minority charge carrier. So if you see the direction of currents, so this emitter current is basically flowing in this direction, and collector current is flowing in collector current flowing in this direction, and base current is flowing in this direction. I believe that this topic you have already read in your first semester or second semester. Somebody have taught you. So I'm basically just revising your syllabus before going into the deep discussion about the transistor which is mentioned in your syllabus. So we can write this emitter current, that is equal to collector current plus base current. And if we separately write the expression for the collector current, so this collector current is basically superimposition of two current, that is collector current due to majority charge carrier and collector current due to minority charge carrier, and this current is known as the ICO. So this ICO, this collector current is equal to collector current plus collector current due to majority charge carrier and collector current due to minority charge carrier. So this is known as the collector current with emitter terminal open, and this minority carrier is when flowing. When it is flowing when this battery is open, then this minority carrier current is flowing. Okay, so that is why I have written ICO. So this simply notation of this current due to minority charge carrier is ICO, that is collector current with emitter terminal open, or this is also known as the leakage current. Okay, so this leakage current have a very important role in determining the stability, in determining the operating point or Q point of a transistor when we use transistor for the amplification purpose. So I will discuss in detail about the leakage current. So if you see this leakage current, so this current is because of the minority charge carrier, and we know, we have learned in case of PN junction diode that the minority charge carrier basically is function of temperature. If you increase the temperature of the ambient temperature of the where your device is working, the more and more number of covalent bond breaking and more number of minority charge carriers created, intrinsic carrier concentration increases. So that intrinsic carrier concentration lead to the increase of leakage current or reverse. This is basically also in case of PN junction diode we have called reverse saturation current. Okay, so here we are calling the leakage current. So leakage current is basically a function of temperature. So that is why this is very important parameter in case of transistor when we use transistor for the amplification purpose. Okay, so I believe that I hope that you understood the working principle of a bipolar junction transistor. Now, as I discuss here, in case of bipolar junction transistor, so you have a 3 terminal: emitter terminal, base terminal, and collector terminal. So this, based on these 3 terminals, how one can use these transistors. So here I have explained the principle when base is basically common between input and output. So out of these 3 terminals, so this device transistor can be used for any purpose, and any one terminal may be made common between the input and output. So one can apply input signal and one can get output signal. So for applying any signal we require 2 terminal, and for getting any output signal we require 2 terminal. So there should be 4 terminal, but we have only 3 terminal. So it means out of these 3, 1 terminal must be common between the input and output. So that is why, based on this configuration of transistor, so we can configure transistor in 3 bases: either base should be common, or emitter should be common, or collector should be common. If base is common, so that is simply called as a common base transistor. If emitter is common, so this is known as the common emitter transistor. If collector is common, then known as the common collector configuration transistor. So let's try to understand common base transistor configuration, and then I will explain the common collector transistor configuration. And I think that is not mentioned in your syllabus, that common collector, but I will try to focus only on the common emitter and common base transistor. Out of this, out of 3, common base and common collector, common emitter, common base and common emitter are very important. And one of the very important, that is common emitter transistor, because most of the time common emitter transistors are used as a amplifier circuit. Okay, so in case of common emitter transistor, common base transistor, base is basically common between the input and output. So here if you see, we have applied voltage, so here base is basically kept as a common. So this is PNP transistor, similar to the previous case. So I have explained for the common base transistor. So PNP and NPN transistor. So what you have to remember, how the biasing has been, how the battery we have to apply. We have to apply battery in such a way that base emitter junction should be forward bias and base collector junction should be reverse bias. Irrespective of, you have not bothered about whether your transistor is PNP or your transistor is NPN transistor. Okay. So this is the actual construction diagram. Okay, cross sectional view, and this is cross sectional view, and this is the circuit symbolic representation of transistor. So you have a base, and then vertical line and horizontal line, and then you have this one and this one. So this is known as the emitter, and this is known as the base, and this is called as the collector. And remember how one can identify that which is base, which is emitter, and which is collector. So in any symbolic representation of device, you see there is a circle is there. I have shown in a shaded cyan color. So that circle, and within the circle there is an arrow on the line. If you see, there is arrow, and this arrow is meeting with the line, horizontal line. So in a symbolic representation of transistor, the segment which have arrow, okay, that is always called as the emitter. So if you see here arrow is marked in this line, so this is emitter, and if you see here arrow is marked here, so that is this is emitter. But remember, this arrow should be within the circle. Arrow should be within the circle. If it is out of circle, then it is not valid. And then how one can identify that whether it is a PNP or NPN transistor? So we can identify that just by knowing the direction of arrow. If you see here this pointer, arrow direction is inside, toward inside the circle. In here the pointer, the arrow direction is outside the pointing outside. In case of PNP transistor, pointer is inside, so that is why if pointer on the emitter is inside, so this is called as a PNP transistor, and if pointer is outward direction on the emitter, that is known as the NPN transistor. So this is emitter, and obviously the second, that is collector, and this is base. So emitter, base, collector, emitter, base, collector. And accordingly, if PNP transistor, emitter current will basically, this is this arrow shows the direction of current. This arrow, whatever arrow is marked within the circle on the emitter, that is basically shows the direction of majority carrier current. So majority carrier current is flowing in this direction, that is emitter current. Obviously base current and collector current will be leaving the total current will be, I have explained, IE must be equal to IB plus IC, so they should be flow outward. Similarly here, if you see the majority carrier current is flowing outward through the emitter, so this collector current and base collect will flow inward direction. So this is the PNP transistor and NPN transistor. And if you plot a curve between this voltage and this current, emitter current, and this voltage, emitter voltage, then that is known as the input characteristics. And if you plot a curve between this applied voltage and output current, this voltage and this current, that is known as the output characteristics. So here I have drawn an input characteristic and output characteristics, but there is a little difference. So when you apply a voltage, so this VEE battery, so this battery is read why it is called a VEE and why it is called as VCC. So we have a capital V and capital E, capital E in subscript, capital C and capital C in subscript. So first E in subscript means that is the emitter, battery is applied through the emitter, and second E known as called, why second E, capital E is basically represent that the another terminal of the battery is basically grounded. Emitter voltage, another terminal of battery is grounded, so that is why VEE. Collector voltage, so collector voltage and another terminal of collector is grounded, so this is grounded, so VCC. And obviously there will be a voltage drop across the emitter base junction, so across this junction, and there will be voltage drop across this junction, that is, so voltage drop across this emitter base junction is known as the VBE, and voltage drop across base collector junction, that is known as the VBC. Similarly here VBE and VBC. So if you plot a curve between VBE and IE, that is called as the input characteristics, and if you plot a curve between VBC and IC, then that is called as a output characteristics. Okay, so here I have shown input characteristic and output characteristics. You might have learned in your previous class. So in order to get some input characteristics, we have to fix this battery voltage first at some volt, let us say 1 volt, 2 volt, 3 volt, 10 volt, 20 volt, whatever. Okay, so let us, when we put fix as a 1 volt, then it will give some voltage drop across a 2 volt, so it will give some voltage drop across the junction, that is VBC. The VCB, let us say that VCB is 1 volt. Then if you keep on increasing this voltage, so there will be this will maybe 1 volt, 2 volt, so this will lead a voltage drop across the meter base junction. So current will not flow till the, because there is a formation of depletion layer at the junction, so till the applied voltage is less than 0.7 volt or 0.6 volt, 0.7 volt, then current will not flow. When this applied voltage is greater than, a voltage drop across emitter base junction is greater than 0.7 volt, then current will flow. That is why 0.1 volt, 0.2 volt. When VEE or VBE we change 0.1 volt, 0.2 volt, 0.3, 0.4. If it is made from silicon, then it is current is not flowing. But as soon as you reach 0.6 and 7, so that is basically approximated as a 0.7 volt, then a current is flowing. Now this nature, if you increase this voltage, so this current will flow increasing. So 0.1 volt, 10 volt, 20 volt, so this current is increasing. So this is known as the input characteristics curve. Similarly, for the case of output characteristics, okay, so you first fix the current, this input current, okay, you fix the input current, and you change this voltage. In order to change this voltage, you have to change this voltage, and you measure this current. If you plot that, so when this input current is 0, okay, so this is input 0, current is there 0. Obviously, if IE is equal to 0, so we have learned that if IE is equal to 0, so that is equal to IC is equal to IC is separately 0 and IB is separately 0. So that means if input current is 0, collector current will be also equal to 0. So in order to flow some collector current, we must have some input current IE. So in order to get some IE, we have to apply some increase the voltage. But here we will not measure in terms of voltage, we will measure in terms of IE. So we fix, let us say, IE 1 milliampere, and then you increase this voltage VBC and you measure the current. So this characteristics will be something like that. So here basically you are having y axis here, so that is 0. So 0 current. So at some particular voltage, at some particular value, you get some current. So as soon as if IE is non-zero, then you get some collector current even when you have not applied any voltage. See, if you see when VCB that is equal to 0, even though you are getting some current, when IE is equal to 1 milliampere, you are getting IC. Obviously, because IE is equal to IC plus IB, if IE is non-zero, then you will get IC. So if you keep on increasing the IE, and you are getting IC. So IC is increasing, but with increasing IE. IE 0, IE 1 ampere, 1 milliampere, 2 milliampere, 3, 4, 5, 6. You are accordingly you are getting. If you see IE is 1 milliampere, so IC is also 1 milliampere. If IE is 2 milliampere, IC is also 2 milliampere. IE 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6. Okay. So it means IC is always equal to IE in case of common base configuration. And now if you increase this voltage, then what will happen? First, the current will be constant. If you keep on increasing the voltage, if you see when IE is equal to 1 milliampere, without applying voltage, we are getting IC. But if you increase the voltage, the current is constant up to some certain voltage. This is valid for each current, each value of input current, that is IE. And after a certain voltage, there will be a breakdown, and then current will increase. So this linear region, if you see, this is the linear region. Here I have shown. So this I have marked as an operating region. So this linear region, unshaded area, that is called as a active region of a transistor. See, this is linear region, and this is basically there is no distortion in the output. So that is why this is known as the active region or linear region or least distortion region of a transistor. And the input current, okay, below which there is no output current, so that is basically input current is IE is equal to 0, and below that we are not getting any output current. So this shaded area, that is known as the cutoff region of a transistor, and this region, left hand side region, at which your output for a given particular value of input current in voltage, when their output current become constant, if you see output current is constant, and this particular region, if you see above left side of this, that is a constant region. There is no after that current is constant, and this region is known as the saturation region of a transistor. So this is output characteristics. Okay. So input characteristics, output characteristics. I have explained about the common base transistor. Now it is mentioned in your syllabus that try to understand the common base transistor characteristics and H parameter. So H parameter is another parameter of transistor which basically gives the specification of transistor, whether your transistor is in common base, a common emitter, a common collector. Based on these parameters, basically we choose transistor for particular purpose. So here I have mentioned input voltage, input current. So if you plot input voltage on y-axis and input current on x-axis, so this is known as the input characteristics. This is quite similar here, but I have taken on y-axis current and x-axis voltage. But here in this case I have chosen voltage on y-axis and current on x-axis. Otherwise graph is same, everything is same. So this curve moves like something that. This is known as the input characteristics, and this is similar to that is output characteristics, collector current and collector voltage. And then you can plot a curve between voltage means this voltage and this voltage. Then that is known as the transfer characteristics. So this is input characteristics, output characteristics A, and this is known as the transfer characteristics. Voltage here, voltage is there. So this is called as the transfer voltage characteristics, and this is current that is known as the transfer current characteristics. You might have learned. So VE and VC, so that is transfer voltage characteristics. IC and IE, transfer current characteristics. And these four characteristics curve of transistor, common base transistor, basically how one can identify that whether this characteristics curve is of common base or common emitter or common collector. If you see here, in case of common base is common, so we have applied voltage on emitter. It means your input voltage and input current should be always emitter. So that is why input voltage and input current, that is emitter. So this is basically common base transistor. And output current and output voltage basically collector. So that is why this is known as the output characteristics. So this curve is basically of common base transistor characteristics curve. And I will explain maybe later. So this, if you take the derivative of this voltage and this current, that is del E upon del IE, at keeping constant this voltage, output voltage VC1 constant, VC, del VE upon del IE at VC constant. So this is known as the H11, or this parameter is called as a HIB, input impedance. This is basically called as a, because if you see the unit VE upon IE, that is voltage upon current, that is basically resistance, impedance. So this is called as the input impedance when at constant VC, the input impedance when base is common. So HIB, input impedance when base is common, this is simply called as HIB, or this is known as the H11. So this is input impedance. Similarly, if you take the ratio of these two, so that is VE upon VC and IC upon IE and IC upon VC. If you see IC upon VC, derivative of this, constant this, so that is del IC upon del VC at constant IE, that is basically, if you see the unit, that is current upon voltage. This was the voltage upon current, this is current upon voltage. So that is admittance. This was resistance, impedance, and this is admittance. So this is basically output. We are getting the output characteristic from output characteristic. That is why this is known as the output admittance for common base transistor when base is common. HOB, this is known also called as H22. Okay, and this is called as del VE upon del VC, at constant input current, VE upon VC, that is voltage upon voltage, that is unitless, that is dimensionless quantity. So this is known as the reverse voltage gain, because this voltage that is known as the reverse voltage gain. And this is known as the del IC upon del IE, that is basically called as a forward current gain when this B term, second term B, that is coming because of the common base. And I term, that is input impedance, R term reverse voltage gain, F term forward current gain, and O term, that is output admittance. So HIB, HRB, HOB, HFB. HFB is forward current gain, that is del IC upon del IE at constant VC, that is forward current gain. HOB, that is output admittance, del IC upon del VC at constant input current, output admittance, del VE upon del VC at constant input current reverse voltage gain, del VE upon del IE at constant output voltage, that is input impedance. So these are known as the H parameter of common base transistor. So this H parameter is the characteristics of that particular transistor. Okay, so that is why this is name given as a common base transistor characteristic and H parameter. So by knowing the value of these H parameters, one can say that whether transistor is common base or common emitter, or this given transistor, if you use in common base, so what will be the characteristic, and if you use the in common emitter, then what will be the characteristics. Okay, so that is the importance of the H parameter. So maybe in one more lecture I will take on H parameters, and I will explain, and I will try to derive the mathematical derivation in detail about how this HIB, HRB, HOB, HFB, and how this derivation has come, when to choose this input voltage, when to choose output voltage, when to choose this which one constant. So this everything I will explain in detail in my one separate lecture, maybe in coming days. Okay, so this up to this I have explained the common base transistor characteristic and its parameter. So with this, I believe that I have covered some very basics of transistor, basics of bipolar junction transistor and common base transistor. And in my next lecture I will again start with the common emitter transistor, some basics, whatever remaining part is there in common collector transistor. Then I think I should finish the common collector transistor. One more slide is there. So in common base transistor, okay, another thing, very important parameter is the alpha value. Alpha value, as I discuss here, so that is basically HFB, that is the forward current gain, that is HFB. This is also sometimes called as a alpha. Okay, so this is simply called as amplification factor, yeah, alpha. So IC for DC signal, if you have not applied any AC part, so simply if you take the ratio of collector current and emitter current, then that is called as alpha DC or simply alpha. Okay, and this is very important parameter. If you see here we have also IC upon IE, that is basically a current gain, that is a dimensionless quantity. IC upon IE dimensionless quantity. So this alpha DC is a dimensionless quantity, and from characteristics curve, if you see here, if you go back, IC is always equal to IE. So for ideal transistor, common base transistor, alpha is always equal to 1. This is always approximately equal to 1 if you consider IC is equal to IE. But we know that IE is equal to IB plus IC. So this IE and IC is, for practical purpose, for practical devices, IE and IC is not equal. So therefore, the most of the practical devices, common base transistor, this value of alpha is lies between the 0.90 to 0.998. Okay, and IC is collector current and IE is the emitter current. Emitter current is flowing because of the majority charge carrier. So IC can be written as alpha into IE. So IC is equal to alpha into IE. So this is basically known as this current is majority current. This is IC. So as I discussed, IC is basically made from two current. One is the majority current and another is because of the minority current. Okay. So IC can be written as IC is equal to IC majority plus ICO, that is minority current. So majority current is basically alpha IE, so that IC is equal to alpha IE. And this IC for common base transistor, if you see, so this ICO, what we have called collector current with emitter is open. That is what we have called. That is collector current with emitter terminal is open, that is leakage current. Okay. So here if you see the common base transistor, so this base, emitter and collector, if you open the emitter, means IE current equal to 0. If this current is 0, because this base collector junction was reverse bias, So then a current will flow, obviously that is flowing in the direction of emitter current, where in the direction of emitter current. So that current is known as at that time the current is known as the ICO, that is collector current with emitter terminal open. And because we are using this transistor in common base configuration, that is why this is known as the ICBO, collector to base current with emitter open. Collector to base current with emitter open. Okay. So that is why this total collector current IC can be written as alpha IE plus ICBO. Okay. I will explain the derivation. Before that, if you have DC signal, then this definition is valid for the alpha, and if you have AC mode, AC signal means if you are using transistor as an amplifier, then this parameter alpha is simply called as the amplification factor. Okay, and this amplification factor then is defined as a del IC upon del IE at constant BC. So that is alpha AC is equal to del IC upon del IE at constant VCB. Okay. So this is the for AC signal, this is for the DC mode. In this collector current, if you see, so collector current as I have discussed, as I have written, that is basically IC is equal to alpha IE plus I leakage current. So here we have alpha IC majority that alpha IE plus ICBO. So this equation, and we know IE, if it is not open, this is because of majority, this current is because of majority current. So if it is not open, then IE, we know that IE is equal to IC plus IB, that is the empirical equation. So we can write this IC is equal to, in place of IE we can submit this equation. So alpha IC plus IB plus ICBO, and if we solve for IC, so IC is equal to 1 minus alpha. So this IC is equal to alpha IC plus alpha IB plus ICBO. So this, take this quantity at left hand side. So IC is equal to 1 minus alpha is equal to alpha IB plus ICBO, or IC is equal to alpha upon 1 minus alpha into B IB plus ICBO. And this alpha upon 1 minus alpha, this is basically called as a beta. When I will develop a relation between alpha and beta, then I will explain. So this collector expression for the collector current for the common base transistor is IC is equal to alpha upon 1 plus alpha minus IB plus ICBO. So this is the importance. If you see, this collector current is basically combination of base current, that is basically majority current, and because of the minority current, and this minority current depend upon the temperature, working temperature of your device, ICBO. Okay. So with this, I will stop my lecture here. In next lecture, I will start with the common emitter transistor configuration, and I request to all students, please, whatever you have learned in your previous semester, please open your book and review the syllabus, basics of transistor, working principle of transistor, common characteristics curve, okay, from your reference book. So with this, I thank you all for listening me carefully. Thanks a lot.